People of Splat Source, it is I, everyone's favorite commentator, Joxic for life, and you'll need to mind the lack of editing for this video since I want to try and get this out as soon as I can, since I feel it's an important thing to bring up. So as many of you are aware, I released a video criticizing the work and the character of Brian Jackson II, which, before I mention anything, I just wanted to thank you all for the support I've received due to that video absolutely blowing up, and it's still going, which is just insane that it's still rising. So again, thank you all for watching it and continuing your support for me, as well as the Toxic Tales series. Before I start, I do want to add that you might need to watch this video his video, to fully understand the chunk of this video, but I will be providing certain timestamps from his videos on the points that he's made. Now, making that video on Brian, I was 100% aware that Brian was going to respond to the video. As he stated in my video by my mate Stormy,
he doesn't pay any attention to them.
Yeah.
He doesn't. The only people he pays attention to is the people in his video or the people that can expose him or end him. That's the only people he's gonna pay attention to. Being straight up.
And through that video, I gained another layer of respect by my peers. However, I was also the figurehead of villainy for the mainstream side of the Splat Source community. Before, with each of my videos, all my comments were kept in my little circle of supporters and friends, but with this video, I punched into another side of the Splat Source community. I underestimated the approach Brian took, and the way Brian decided to choose was so misleading and the most inappropriate way to respond, which led a lot of people really not liking the character I display, as well as my video on Brian. I mean, some people were pissed off. I received criticism for a large majority of my video, but the biggest complaint I received was, why Joxic? Why the hell are you bringing up old drama from 2019? I mean, he's been on his best behavior and there hasn't been many recent controversies that have happened. He hasn't done anything wrong. Why, Joxic? Why are you stuck in the past? Well, let me tell you. Through knowing my own audience, a majority of people watching my video wouldn't be aware of the situation, especially with the case of, for example, TCS. All of his information was scattered around the internet, and most things people knew about him was mostly word of mouth. So putting it in a long yet easy to digest video with evidence is what I plan to do, by giving evidence and bringing awareness on these creators. In the case of Brian, out of everyone's past, I believe that his past was the most prevalent, as his controversy plays a large amount of Brian's history, since the rest of Brian is as stale as a piece of burnt toast. Basically, how I like to portray these videos is me carrying a bag full of the issues, dumping them on the table, and leaving it up to the other party to decide what to do with it. I don't tamper with it and give the cold, harsh truth with their issues. The fact that Brian misled his already zombified audience to sympathize and label me as a hater and say my video was a way to end his career is a massive middle finger and shows how easily he can manipulate his audience. My video isn't a way to end someone's career, but bringing awareness on the type of people like you are behind the scenes, BJ. I am not going to cover everything in your video, but I'm going to briefly talk about some parts of it.
2019 was not a very good year for me. You have no idea the pain, the hell, and the suffering that I've been through. During the last 2 years, I've been living with guilt and regret. During those times, I have been suffering from post-traumatic stress and was suffocating. The painful memories keep eating me alive.
For a majority of the video, I have heard you pull the victim and sympathy card so many fucking times to your audience to sympathize for someone who clearly doesn't have a clue what PTSD is and uses mental health as a way to grab sympathy, which could even be worse than faking your death. If you take a look at me, for example, during the end of October, I said that these videos were taking a toll on my mental health due to the extent I work on these videos alone. It was a valid point due to the time I was putting into these videos. It never came off as an excuse. Plus, I had other reasons why I stopped working on these videos for 6 months. Use mental health as an excuse for your audience to sympathize, Brian, and villainize me, which is the most scummiest thing you could ever do, using mental health as a scapegoat for attention. There are thousands of people who suffer from much worse than you, BJ, and are currently or have dealt with PTSD due to war, horrific events such as a car crash, as well as people being sexually assaulted. Now tell me, does being called out on the internet by people who exposed your toxic behavior is on the same wavelength as suffering through war or sexual assault, the fact that this man still has people supporting him saying that it's in the past, I'm just a hater, and his animations are fine, are also part of the problem as well. Like, what is running through your head at the moment that you decide to forgive a person who literally faked their death for attention? I don't know how many times I need to drill it into your skull because it is just such a serious issue that plagues this community. It is asinine on how zombified his audience is that they're literally going to side with a person who is shown to the community on full display to be a really unstable person.
Every day I'm getting yelled at, getting notifications by people accusing me that I never changed.
That's a bold statement.
No matter how many times I tell everyone, they just don't seem to care. They don't care of what I've been through. And that's a shame. I'm being called out for the mistakes that I did. Honest mistakes that I made 2 years ago.
Now, Brian, you can claim that what you did in the past is honest mistakes, but I find that to be a load of bullshit. I don't think it's normal for a person who's quite well known in a community to fake his death, or for someone to self-ship themselves with someone else, or wound up in controversies that are more important than you are as a person. But please, keep telling yourself that you've changed, trying to take criticism, and not overreacting to a situation by fucking contradicting yourself a few minutes later by doing the exact same thing you are trying to improve on. Brian, you can keep telling yourself that you changed, but at the same time, you fail to achieve those things to improve on while also creating even more problems in the long run.
Wherever you choose to believe it or not, I have changed. Like I said before, I don't do those stuff anymore. And what I did was 2 years ago. It's old news, old drama.
The fact that you said that your issues were 2 years ago and is old news as if it's like it's safely locked away for no one to touch generally makes me laugh hysterically. Some actions you did in the past, whether you like it or not, are still going to affect you in the future. I mean, look at Loot House situation. It's not locked away for no one to touch, and I believe I have the right to speak about it. I like to apply these controversies with the court case example of, oh yeah, I murdered someone like 2 years ago, but it's old news, you can't frame me guilty, since you'll immediately be pleaded guilty the moment you finish your sentence. I'm aware there's a massive gap of someone doing shit things in a community contrasted with fucking murdering someone, but you get my point.
I'm not a perfect human being. I'm not. And I've made lots of mistakes. But isn't that part of being human? We all make mistakes. Everyone else does.
I'm totally aware that it's part of the human experience for people to make mistakes, and no one is a perfect person. Hell, I'm not a perfect person. I did fucking awful actions which I never did before I entered this community. But the thing is, I learned to realize that the actions I did are not okay, and I don't do them anymore. The problem is that BJ, you are so stubborn to take the criticism and push off videos that as hate videos and not even listen to anyone besides your circle of friends that jack you off 24/7 instead of those spreading awareness of your behavior, which in turn has made you into a laughingstock and how idiotic you approach these videos. You seriously should have taken a page out of TCS's book by private messaging me. If you continue to support Brian, think about this for a moment. Out of everything that has happened, whose fault is it in the end? Is it me who wanted to give my own opinion on a situation while at the same time spreading awareness and having the right to bring light to corrupt people such as Brian? Or is it the guy who caused all of it? Take a long, hard think about that. Mate, you've had 2 years in order to change, and yet you threw it away by committing the same mistakes and more in the process. We have left you for a good while, and yet you threw the opportunity, so consequences are bound to happen.
If I'm going to make decent videos in the future, then I need to get a bigger, better, and stronger computer that will allow me to do decent animations. And my current computer is not strong enough to handle that animation equipment. Until I get a better computer, I'm stuck doing PowerPoint videos. I'm sorry. But that is something you guys are going to have to deal with. Call it trash videos or shitty videos. I don't care. I don't make videos just because I want to improve on my animations. I want to make videos because I want to tell the story. The story is all that matters.
I was genuinely starstruck on how you basically told your own audience to suck it up and deal with a PowerPoint presentation for animations. saying that the story is the most important part and you're not willing to improve on the animation style because you've proven to me that you show a lack of care and effort due to the excuse of not having a strong enough computer. While I do believe that's a valid point since it costs quite a bit for a decent computer, it is not that hard to get a decent editing software as well as a software for Gmod that is free. Hell, I edit and record these things on a fucking laptop. I can give an example of The Big Les Show as a quality animation that uses MS Paint for the animations. The series has gained a cult following due to the approach of a stereotypical Australian bogan lifestyle. You don't need top-notch animation softwares in order to have a quality animation series, which perfectly submits into Brian's other point. The story for the animation is also one of the most important things, all things considered, but you failed in both animations and the story aspect. The stories are just really bad. It's cringy, especially with the voice acting, and the way you direct these are just atrocious. Instead of asking people to send their voice lines via Google Drive or an email, you record straight from Discord, which is a massive drop in quality already, but also do it in one take. Oh, you stumbled on a line? Oh no, that's all good, bro. BJ, you would honestly be a great director due to how honest you are with your friends, honestly.
If I'm gonna change successfully, then you guys need to give me some space and give me a chance to try without you guys looming over my shoulder because it's making me uncomfortable. I don't like people looking over my shoulder like that. It's not cool. And living in the past is not cool either. I want to move on from that.
Now, I'm being honest. Everyone wishes to move on from your past, myself included. But when you basically fall into this never-ending cycle of repeating the same issues, it really makes people, like such as myself, wonder why we keep on bringing this up. You have learned nothing from my video, but have regurgitated the fact that you still cannot take any sense of criticism. Because if you don't care about what people say about you, then why the hell did you make the video in the first place? But please, continue writing my video as a hate and label me as someone who wants to end your career. Because if you want to portray me like that, oh, I'll be happy to end your career. Now, I have been discussing with a lot of people in the last few weeks ever since that video went live, and I've heard a lot of interesting things. Some I probably can't cover, but I'm going to cover two. So, you remember this line I said about quality in videos? I don't know if it's just laziness or he just doesn't know what animation is, since he just breaks any rule on it by adding animations with the mouth or basic gestures, but in some he just doesn't animate it. Like, he breaks any conclusion on the reasoning. Well, it turns out that through research and because I'm a fucking blind mouse, that his first videos have literally been re-uploads of his friend Donut Joe's videos and not his own. So just to clarify, he has literally taken someone else's work and profited his success from someone else's hard work. While I know that Donut Joe has left the community and was the reason for the re-upload, this is just a new level of low and laziness, and it is so now obvious to me, now knowing that there is a semblance of effort with Donut Joe's video compared to Brian's comic dubs, as he puts it. The fact that you don't go after people like Lizzie when it was clearly obvious that she was exposing the behavior you have portrayed during the time being friends with her, but rather go after small content creators such as me, General Salty, and Eric from The Professional, since you know you get little to no backlash, which shows that you are an absolute coward and just a pathetic little pussy. You know, you don't want to go after Lizzie since she has a big follower base than you, but you are just so desperate for people to forgive you, so you opt out and rather go after small creators by talking behind their back the moment they don't fit your agenda. Feel free to message me because I'll have a blast breaking down all your points, since it is very obvious to me that your fans and people you connect with cannot see through the facade that you give, as well as the fake promises that you blast on a daily basis. I am willing to give you as much space as you would like, but you've had 2 years in order to redeem yourself, and you've not only failed to resolve a majority of those issues, but created new ones in the process. When does it ever cross your mind that maybe one day you should probably hop out of your conform group that rallies you no matter what happens? Like, you could commit several crimes against society, and there'll still be people telling you that you're forgiven. In the end, I am not trying to end your career, but I'm trying to drill into your thick skull that there are issues that are not going away anytime soon, and adding more issues into the mix won't help you from running away from your issues. You may run all you like, but you will always be dubbed the Unforgiven. absurd, and quickly he's subdued through constant pain, disgrace. The young boy learns their rules. With time the child draws in. This wicked boy done wrong, deprived of all his thoughts. The young man struggles on and on, he's known a foul until his own, that never from this day his will they'll take away. Yeah. What I've felt, what I've known, never shine through the what I've shown. Never be, never see, won't see what might have been. What I've felt, what I've known, never shine through what I've shown. Never free, never me, so I dubbed the unforgiven.